Hey, Crazy Rich Asians is in box offices near you, and did Mile 22 cross the finish line? Also, Minding the Gap by Hulu. Stay tuned. A little glorious with Macklemore for episode 26 of Black Tomatoes here at Black Hollywood Live. Welcome back. I love the song. It's so cool. And like Scott said before we got on the air, you cannot see a trailer or anything about Crazy Rich Asians without hearing this song.
Nope.
So big ups to Macklemore. I am your host, Carla Renata, and I am joined by my co-host,
Scott Menzel. How are you, Carla?
I'm a little under today. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little under.
I'm a little calmer today. It's not going to be as energetic of a show.
Well, we're going to try.
We're going to try. We're going to
try to pull it up. We're going to try to pull it up. I'm having a hard time. I'm not even going to lie. I'm having a hard time. Let's chat about a couple of things.
Sure.
Before we start talking about Crazy Rich Asians, which, by the way, has opened with $34 million in 5 days. And I don't even think they opened in all the theaters, did they?
No, they're not wide in all of the world. Sorry.
That's
in
awesome.
all of the world, yeah. And it over-indexed. So it actually did more than they were expecting. So that's great news.
You know what? This is like the Asian people Black Panther. I think you said that before.
Yes.
It's like the Asian people Black Panther. But aside from that, it's also one of those films that it's a nice little love story and all of that. But the thing that's really interesting to me about Crazy Rich Asians, before we start talking about our opinions about the film, is that this is the first film featuring an all-Asian cast in 25 years. Like, the last time we saw an all-Asian cast like this was in Joy Luck Club.
Yeah.
That's a shame and disgrace.
It's Constant Wu put this out on Twitter, so this is the only reason I know this. It's all Asian American cast. In 25 years. It's not, because she pointed out like there was movies like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon and things like that.
But
so she wanted to make sure that was specific enough that people knew why it was a big deal.
That's a good point. But still, it's been 25 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a crying shame that we haven't seen more movies like this. And I mean, this is really a celebration of culture, and I think a lot of people have been talking about this. And I really think that I'm really happy that this movie made so much money, because they already made the budget back one weekend. That means that there's going to be a part 2. I give it about 4 or 5 days before that news breaks.
I hope so. So let's talk about how we feel about the film. So I know I loved it. I loved seeing how the Asian culture and how the Asian hierarchy is dealt with, because it's very similar to what I deal with in the African American community. Like, if you're African American and your family is not in that higher tier of Black people, then you don't get no Jack and Jill debutante, coming out situation, which is kind of like the characters in Crazy Rich Asians. It's not a debutante situation, but the rich people are very extravagant and they do things really, really big. There's the culture. With us, it's soul food. With Asians, it's dumplings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love that they put that in the film and they showed how to actually make the dumpling, and how the grandma kind of clowned them about how that one person wasn't quite making it right. That made me laugh out loud, because in the African American community, if you can't make some greens or some cornbread or some sweet potato pie, it's a wrap for you. Like, it's just a wrap for you. Nobody wants to come to your house and eat. I'm just saying. So I love that they blended the culture with the fashion, with the hierarchy of who goes where. I loved Awkwafina and Nico Santos. They stole the show for me. They were hilarious. So a big shout out to Nico Santos, because he's my coworker on Superstore over at NBC, which is in his 4th season. Plug.
Bring Carla on for a bigger role, please. Can you not give her a bigger role yet? How many seasons does it have to go before she's on a bigger role?
Well, you know what? Superstore is kind of like Heart of Dixie, which I was also on.
Yeah.
They have a really large cast of recurring characters, probably somewhere between like 20 and 30 people. So they can't give everybody a big role. But I'm really grateful that Justin, lets me show my face every once in a while. Lets Janae show her face every once in a while.
And I loved your little closet picture on Instagram. So
I didn't know that that's what they call it. So the wardrobe people, whenever they bring you in for a fitting, and what they'll do sometimes is they'll bring you in for a fitting and fit you for the whole season, so you don't have to keep coming back every time they call you in for an episode, because you never know when they're going to call you in for an episode, and that can be very problematic, especially if you're there quite often. So they just call you in and they fit you for every episode they think you might be in. And create what they call a closet. I'm like, ooh, when they said that, I'm like, I have to take a picture of that. I think that is hilarious. Oh, I'm waking up.
There you go. I can feel it. The energy's coming back.
I can feel it coming back.
Coming back.
I have like some post-nasal drip or something. That's why I'm kind of like, ugh. But that's how I feel about Crazy Rich Asians. I really loved it. I'm hoping that they do announce a sequel. It would be nice to see what happens after the two get married. And I love that it was a romantic story that wasn't Asian specific. It was just a love story between two people. That's the biggest thing about Crazy Rich Asians that I love. Even though it did, give some props to certain things in the culture and the hierarchy and the fashion, it literally was just a story about people, about human beings, and I loved it for that reason.
Yeah. I mean, the movie, kind of like what you brought up earlier, the movie's very universal, okay? So you can relate to it from your culture. I mean, I think even white people can relate to it because there's so many social classes, right? Lower middle class, middle class, upper middle class, and then, rich people. So, I mean, you essentially have so much to, everyone can kind of connect with this, okay? And I think what brings it up a notch is that it represents the culture, but it doesn't feel like it's throwing it in your face. It's not pushing it down your throat.
Exactly.
It's just saying, like, you know what? This is a girl. She's from America. She has a great job in America. If you told anyone, like, oh, I teach at NYU, I'm an economics professor, that'd be a great job, and then she goes over there, and the way that Eleanor,
Eleanor treated her like she was scrubbing floors. I'm like, oh.
Like she's a maid or something. Like, it's like, it was very strange.
But to your point, what's really interesting about that? There is that generation of people, no matter what color or race that they come from, that they believe that a woman's place is in the kitchen taking care of the man. That's what they believe. And they believe that if you want anything other than that, an education or your own company, or to be a more modern woman, they think it's like a betrayal of your womanhood. That's really old school thinking.
But see, in this movie, I didn't get that, because
I got that from Eleanor, though, because she was always making a dig to
what's the other the girl played by Gemma Chan? She wasn't she related as well? And
she was the daughter, but she didn't. But that's her daughter. See, it's different when it's your kid, but when it's somebody else trying to think about the relationship.
That's right. Then they had a bunch of conversations, right? Like, you know that the only reason why this person's okay to get married is because she does this shipping thing or something.
And remember, she kept digging every little chance she got. She would like twist a knife and dig at her because she had a job, and think about the relationship between mothers and their sons.
Yeah,
there is never a woman on the face of the planet for some mothers that is good enough for their son, and that was the same situation there, which was annoying. But Michelle Yeoh played the hell out of that.
Oh, she really did.
She was like Alexis Carrington from Dynasty. I was like, you are killing me right now.
She was really good. And I just thought that every one of them, the leads in this movie, I feel like they had such a natural on-screen dynamic, whether it was to want to rip each other's throats out, or if they just wanted to fall in love with them. I just felt like they were very natural together. And Constance Wu, who I love in Fresh Off the Boat, I think she's the best part of that show. She really proved here that she has leading lady material. She can steer that ship, and she should be getting more and more roles, hopefully, after this.
Absolutely, and Michelle Yeoh, too. Like, all of Michelle Yeoh's films are often Asian-based. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, her films are often Asian-based. You never hardly ever see her in a film that's like mixed with that's a mixed diversity cast. You never ever see her like that. And I'm hoping that people will reach out to her too. It's a shame that in this day and age that people of other ethnicities have such a hard time getting cast as strong leads in projects because they think people won't go. So I'm hoping that with Crazy Rich Asians and now with Black Panther, people have proven, the audiences have proven and spoken that they will go see something that is diverse or something that is different because they want to find out about other cultures and other people and see somebody else other than the same 5 people that we see on TV and in the film all the time. Don't you think?
I agree. I think in terms of the Black population, I think you guys have been very lucky over the last couple of years because I feel like Tyler Perry really did start kind of like leading the way for that. And then we kind of got like Girls Trip last year. And this year, we've talked about this a couple episodes ago, is that we have fantastic films this year. There's been at least, 4 so far of Black-led films, Black Klansman, Blind Spotting, Sorry to Bother You, Black Panther, that have just been universally loved. You know, everyone who's seen it has kind of praised all these movies. And
but this isn't the only year, though, because there was, the astronaut movie. With the women, what's the name of that?
Oh, Hidden Figures. Hidden Figures.
Oh my God! I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. So I mean, it goes to show. But what's really strange, and I don't know if we talked about this on this show, but we talked about it on Meet the Movie Press. Was it's really strange because I feel like in the '80s and the '90s, right? I feel like there was a lot more diversity in film. I feel like, think back about like Coming to America or Beverly Hills Cop, and they weren't like labeled as like, oh, that's a black movie or that's, like for another culture.
I disagree with you on that. Yeah, okay. I do. Because from our perspective, they were labeled as black movies because the way they were treated was that they were black movies. All of Spike Lee's films were treated like it was a black movie. All of Eddie Murphy's films were treated like they were black, quote unquote, movies. So I don't agree with that.
See, it's interesting because I talked to Ashley, who I can get to point to today.
Ashley would be Scott's wife.
Yes. I don't see color. It's kind of, I grew up in a household, and I've talked about this on this show many times, and I just watch movies, and I don't really. It wasn't until I became a critic and more so out here, and being in LA, where I feel like it's constantly brought up.
And that's true.
That I have never really noticed it. So me growing up watching Coming to America, watching Beverly Hills Cop, watching Eddie Murphy's Raw and all the movies that he has, watching Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor in movies See No Evil, Hear No Evil. To me, I was just watching movies, and it's interesting.
See, much to your point, I was just watching movies as well, but I was also working in the music industry at the time, which was very segregated. Like, there was all this drama about the rap genre and all this drama about the pop music and secular. It was just a secular music. Like, I remember when I was doing publicity for BB and CC Winans, and there was all this drama over the fact that they had made this single with Whitney Houston, and it was considered secular music, and the Christian community blasphemed them because they were like, well, how are you going to praise God and call him in your records and not call God out by his name or call Jesus out by his name, and then you're going to run and make a record with the pop princess Whitney Houston? They caught hell for that. It was the same thing in the film industry. I think because at the time in the 80s and 90s, I was entrenched in that world from a corporate standpoint. I saw it happening, and it was annoying. It was just as annoying then as it is annoying now. But at the end of the day, it pretty much comes down to money. It comes down to who's got the money, who's going to spend the money, and who's going to make the most money off of the project. They'll make black movies, Asian movies, Latino movies all day long if they think they can line their pockets with that green. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So that's it. How do you feel? We'll give our ratings about Crazy Rich Asians at the end.
Okay.
Let's talk about Minding the Gap. I know this is going to be a short conversation.
I didn't see it.
I'm not Minding the Gap. I meant to say Mile 22.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is a short conversation.
So, this is the thing. I'm all down for an action-adventure movie. I love action-adventure movies. And I love Mark Wahlberg. I just want to put my disclaimers in now before I say what I'm about to say. But this is the thing. It was way too much blood, way too much gore. It was like 45 minutes too long. it was another assassin movie with it was pointless to me. And I just felt like, I felt like this is an hour, 45 minutes or 2 hours that I can't get back in my life. I just didn't like it. I took my mom. My mother loved it, though.
Did she?
My mom couldn't stop talking about that movie. And I was like,
interesting.
Whose mother are you? Because I was like, no. What I did like was the operative, the one that was the one they were trying to get away, that they were trying to take away.
The guy from the raid, Iko?
Yeah, him.
Yeah.
His name is Iko Uwais, I think, or something like that. Or Iko Uwais. He was fierce. He gave Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee a run for their money. I was like, well, who is he and where did he come from?
You should see the raid. There's 2 of them, and he's incredible.
He was the best thing about Mile 22 to me.
Hands
that and those monologues that Mark Wahlberg had. And I like the fact that they were trying to give you a bipolar character, but I'm like, I didn't really realize he was bipolar until he was snapping his wrist with the rubber band. I'm like, oh, he's bipolar because he's snapping his wrist. But I'm like, damn, they were just trying to do too much. It was too much.
The movie was, for me, what the problem was is that it was so incoherent. It was so choppy. There was so much yelling. There was so much blood. There were so many characters. There was no story about any of the characters. Like, people were there.
Except for that one that was a mother.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah. I mean, like, Ronda Rousey's in this movie.
She was good.
She's there. For what? She didn't do anything. She was there for like 10 minutes.
But I liked her for them 10 minutes.
I liked her too. And I
want
like
to
her
see her in another movie.
I want her to see her in a movie too. I wish the movie gave her more screen time. You know, and then like you got Lauren Conrad from Walking Dead, and you know, she kicks some butt. But, you know, it's just everything just kind of feels like all over the place. The editing is probably some of the worst editing that I've seen in quite some time in a film. And I know people are like, well, that's Peter Berg. And it's like Peter Berg's movies kind of have this range. Like sometimes like Deepwater Horizon, for example, you can at least understand the story. You can kind of follow it. It has a flow to it. This one just felt like it's just choppy, 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 choppy. And then it's like something's going to happen. These people are going to die. Another explosion. Here's some blood. Blah, blah, blah. The movie ends. It's kind of like, what was the point of that?
Yeah, so
it's a mess.
We're on the same page.
It's a mess.
We're on the same page with that one. So to segue, The Fugitive is celebrating its 25th anniversary this year. I think it celebrated it on August 6th, so we missed it, I believe. But I just wanted to give it some love because I love me some Harrison Ford. I love me some Tommy Lee Jones. Tommy Lee Jones won the Oscar for that.
Yeah.
And my favorite line from that movie ever is when Harrison Ford's character, Dr. Kimball, says to Tommy Lee Jones's character, Marshall Sam, he says, I didn't do it. And he turns around, he says, I don't care. I holler every time I see that line being spoken in that movie. It is so funny to me. And it's one of those films that I think Tommy Lee Jones had been in a lot of movies, you know, he was people kind of weren't really paying attention to him, but they paid attention to him in that one. And it gave Harrison Ford a whole nother lane, too.
It did.
Because up until that moment, he was like, you know, the Indiana Jones Star Wars dude. And that movie kind of threw him into another lane. So I just wanted to give it some love.
It's amazing, too, like how there's certain films that come out, right? And like no one can ever replicate it. Mm-hmm. And that's one of them. Like, I feel like it almost has a timeless quality to it. You have the perfect casting between Tommy Lee Jones and Harrison Ford in that movie. You know a movie's really good. Let me tell you this. Back from when spoof movies used to be good, was when they made an entire spoof movie based around your movie. Mm-hmm. And the Leslie Nielsen Wrongfully Accused, which was followed the same storyline of The Fugitive. That's when you knew that you had a really iconic movie, because the parody genre was fresh back then, and they were actually good, not opposed to what's going on now, where they're like, everything that's pop culture related, let's throw it into a movie. But yeah, I think The Fugitive is one of those movies that has aged very well, and I think it has went on to become a classic, and will have many more years ahead of it as a classic.
This is a rarity here on Black Tomatoes, y'all. Me and Scott are on the same page, which never happens. Ooh, I love it. Okay.
I like that person in the chat said, oh my God, I gave something a 10 out of 10 or something.
I know, because that like never happens. I was like, what? It was funny. So I just want to mention this film that I know you didn't see, called Minding the Gap. It's on Hulu. It's one of the suggestions, because we were talking about. So listen, let me just backtrack. So we were talking about here at Black Tomatoes about introducing a new segment.
Right.
And so we're going to do 2 segments, actually. One of the segments is going to be a throwback, like what we just did with The Fugitive. And another segment is going to be mentioning something online that's streaming via Hulu, Amazon, Netflix, or whatever, that either one of us have seen and we think is a good film. So this film, Minding a Gap, is kind of like the documentary version of Boyhood.
Okay.
And it is directed by an Asian brother named Bing Liu. And he basically, from the time him and his friends were little up until adults, he filmed them. And the Minding the Gap is the gap between the generations of them, the races of them, the way they were raised, but they're all bonded through skateboarding.
Okay.
That's what it is. And it'll break your heart.
Yeah?
It'll break your heart. It will break your heart. You will.
Is it better than Boyhood?
Yeah. It will break your heart. It's a documentary, though. It's a documentary, so I'm just like, it's the documentary version of Boyhood. So I'm just saying, let me put that disclaimer out there. But y'all should check it out. It's on Hulu. It is streaming right now. Check that out. Now, some news that I had to ask you about. You know, Boots Riley
Yes.
be on Twitter.
I know he does.
And he is
nonstop.
He
lives on there.
So he did an open letter where he basically. This made me laugh, though, because he basically was like, I love Spike. Spike was my mentor. He did this, he did that, and then he just rips him to shred and the movie. We know that any filmmaker and any person that watches a film, be it critic or audience, knows that films like this, those biopic films, they always add something to the film that's not true to enhance the storytelling quality for whatever reason that is. So we know that the character of Patrice is not a real person. We know that the investigation took longer than it does in the movie. There's only so much time in a movie you have to give to that kind of thing. So I was kind of disappointed in my brother that he came at Spike Lee like that. And it made me sad, because I'm like, why can't we just all get along?
I ask that question every day. I ask that question every day.
But you know what I'm saying? I was just like, really, Boots? We gonna come for Spike Lee like that?
I didn't read this. What did he say?
It's long. It's 3 pages long.
It's 3 pages long.
It's 3 pages long. It would take me at least 5 minutes to read it. But basically, the points that he made is that what I said previously, and that the NYPD paid Spike $200,000 to work with them on race relations in New York City, and he seems to think that Spike making this film is adding to the systemic problem of police brutality in America. And right. So I'm just like, okay, I can't with that conversation.
That's interesting, because I mean, I was all on board with he had an argument, I think, what was it, like last week, where he was talking about like how distributors didn't want to show Sorry to Bother You because
right,
they didn't know.
We talked about that too.
And I thought that was a great thing, you know, like he made a great point with that. I didn't hear about this. I don't know why.
Yeah, it was like, I'm gonna try to find it, but it was like this really long. It was long, and it was really not. It was not very nice, and I was very disappointed in him that he came for him like that. I'm like, dang, Boots, can you just like, wait, here it is. He said, damn it, Spike was paid over $200K by NYPD. Here's the letter. It says, a classic outcome of see, it's just long. I can't even do it.
Okay.
It's like, I'm looking at it.
No, it's all right. I'll read it later. But, I'm just curious.
But
and then everyone can go to Boots Riley's Twitter and read it.
Go to Boots Riley's Twitter and read it. And let me, because I reposted it on Twitter, and I'm like, what do y'all think about this? Because I was like, what is going on? I was very disappointed in that.
Well, I will also tell you that people are not happy with Awkwafina right now.
Why? What's going on with her?
People actually think that Awkwafina has made a career off of mimicking black women.
Well, she has.
And that's people are very upset about that. Apparently.
She's a rapper.
I've learned this on
She's
on
a rapper, but if they're going to be mad at Awkwafina, then they should be mad at every other white rapper that's out there. I mean, you know, like, really, come on.
It's so weird. I know.
It's just stupid.
Can't we all get along?
Can we all just get along? Look. Haters gonna hate. People are hating on Awkwafina because that doll has 2 hit movies in one summer. That's all that is.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
So I got you, Awkwafina. I got you here at Black Tomatoes. That's some mess right there. But I got you. Holla at your girl. I'm just saying.
Put me in Crazy Rich Asians too.
I don't need to be, but I got her. She funny as hell. I like her. I like her a lot. The other news that's out there is, I don't know why I'm laughing. It's not funny, but you know, Kevin Spacey's Billionaire Boys Club came out.
Well, okay. First of all, I heard that, but like, who heard of it? Like, until they made that, news.
But it made $287.
Because who saw it?
It's not funny. It's not funny, but it kind of is. Yeah. It's like, what movie? Like, it costs more than that to rent the movie to show it. Like $287, really?
Spacey, I didn't even know it was out though.
Spacey has fallen so far.
He's done.
He's fallen, and The Meg remains number one at the box office with $300 million. But I'm just like,
You know what's sad about that is that it has Ansel Elgort in it, who's terrific, who was with him in Baby Driver, and then it also has Joel Edgerton, who has had a very.
He got another movie coming out.
Oh
so
yeah, he'll be fine.
He'll be fine.
No, I'm not worried about Ansel. He'll be fine.
No, and Joel Edgerton too. He got another movie coming out.
He has a movie that's coming out on TIFF. I don't know what it's called.
He'll be just fine. I'm not even worried about him. And last but not least, do you watch Insecure on HBO?
No.
Oh, Scott.
I know. I'm sorry.
Anywho, it's Issa Rae's show. It's actually very funny. But one of her writers on the show and one of her good girlfriends on the show, Natasha Rothwell, is joining the Wonder Woman 1984 cast. So I wanted to give Natasha a shout out because I know that sister, and I'm like, that's huge for her because she's a comedian and a writer. And usually when somebody's a comedian and a writer on a show, they really not trying to give you no love and put you in a lead role in a major movie like that. So this is huge for her.
I mean, I think that show's been very talked about. I've been meaning to watch it. Probably add it to my queue of stuff that I need to watch. But no, seriously, I've been really looking forward to seeing that show. You know, I think, Master of None kind of helped, what's Lena Waithe?
Yeah.
Like really kind of helped her, she's in Ready Player One and she's been producing more stuff. So I'm not too surprised by this news, actually. I kind
of was because it's rare.
But they're moving that, Wonder Woman was such a game changer when it came out. And, and no one really believed in Gal Gadot. No one really... At that point, it was kind of like, oh, she's not going to be that great, and Patty Jenkins and Patty Jenkins proved that. And I think what she's doing with this next one is that we're going to see more and more underrepresented voices in it. And
I hope so.
I'm hoping so too.
That would be great. That would really, really be great. And
they have competition now with Marvel because this year they have Captain Marvel.
They have the 10th anniversary this year.
Yeah, but they also have Captain Marvel coming out, whereas they're female. So now they have to build up that hype a little bit more. They were the first out of the gate with it. That's a good point. But now they have to kind of compare.
That's a good point. And last but not least, did we talk about this last week on the air? I'm not sure. Did we talk about the popular category at the Oscars?
We did a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
I can see you're very excited about that news.
This is so stupid, this category. I mean, I get it. The idea of it is to get people to watch it. I mean, that's the whole point. And I think if they have movies like, Mad Max Fury Road or Black Panther or Quiet Place, it's going to get more people to know because we love movies. You and I see so many movies.
Yeah, we do.
But most people don't see a lot of the movies that we see.
No.
And most of the movies that get nominated are movies that most people didn't see. I know this because I talked to my family. I talked to Ashley's family.
It's annoying.
And everyone doesn't know what these movies are. So essentially, it's a way to kind of pull in ratings and say like, hey, Black Panther, Quiet Place, Mission Impossible. Hey, you heard of these movies, right? We want to give them an award, too.
Well, we'll see what happens. So let's do our little tomato rating. What would you give Crazy Rich Asians?
I saw it again. I will say that I thought the second time around it dragged a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I did initially an 8.5, which I know we do the 5 here. Mm-hmm. So I'll do a 4 out of 5.
I do 5 for Crazy Rich Asians. Okay. And Mile 22.
1.5.
I give it 1.
Wow, even lower than me. Okay.
I can't with that. And Minding the Gap, I'll give a 3.5. So
okay.
That's
very
that.
Nice.
Well, all right. We are done for this edition of Black Tomatoes. Yes, we are.
I am so excited to talk about Searching next week.
Yes.
Beyond excited about that.
Searching, we're going to talk about. Did you see Papillon?
She did. I have to go see it.
Papillon. And as he's speaking of Ashley, his wife.
Yeah, I know. I keep pointing. I keep forgetting she's not there, but it's like distracting now. I'm kind of like, she's over there. She's there. Can't you see her?
We're going to talk about searching Papillon and support. Did you see Support the Girls?
Yes.
And support the girls.
Yes, I did, unfortunately.
And support the girls. So we'll save it for next week, Scott. We'll save it for next week. Thank you for everybody that was in the chat room. I always enjoy everything that you have to say. We love you. We love that you come and support us. That goes out to Serenity26, Minding Black, and Matt Starfighter. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us. You can find me, your host, Carla Renata, across all social media platforms at The Curvy Critic. And where can we find you, Scott Menzel?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @TheOtherScottM, or go to WeLiveEntertainment.com to read all my written reviews and interviews. Thank you.
Go to iTunes, give us 5 stars, give us some love at YouTube, and we will see you next week. Love, peace, and hair grease. Bye.
From executives Keven Undergaro, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio. Instagram me at KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in.
Hollywood Redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.